Hello everyone, welcome to another video of mine. It's Kemal AA, and this is another Chelsea transfer news video for you guys. I'll keep you guys up to date with all the latest Chelsea news in the past 24 hours. And today I'll be discussing mainly the January transfer window and the outgoings. The outgoings in regards to players that we need to sell, move on, loan and sell, essentially trim the squad. We have a lot of deadwood in our squad, and essentially it's a priority by the club to get these players off the wage bill, save some money, save some finances, especially in the pandemic that we're in. So I'll be discussing three main players that Chelsea need to be shipping and all the latest news regarding the outgoings and a news update on Thomas Tuchel as well, which I'll be starting off with, and reported by Fabrizio Romano. But before I do get into it, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and comment down below your thoughts, opinions in the comment section below. And I've got a video tonight at 8 PM, again carrying on from that series of managers that I do for tactical analysis. Tonight will be on Maximiliano Allegri. I know a lot of you will be excited about that. That's tonight at 8 o'clock, so hit the bell notification. But without further ado, let's get straight into today's Chelsea news video. Now, starting off with Thomas Tuchel. The news about Thomas Tuchel. Now, what's happened with Thomas Tuchel? Now, Fabrizio Romano, we know the credibility and the reliability that he holds. He has his own podcast. He's got a podcast called Here We Go Podcast. His famous words, Here We Go. We know his reliability on Twitter. When it comes to all of Europe, he's very reliable. He gets a lot right. I would even go as far as say that he is the most reliable out of every single journalist that he could possibly have. Now, essentially what Fabrizio Romano said on his own podcast, he was asked about the Thomas Tuchel situation. Now, we know Thomas Tuchel is currently a free agent because he isn't at any club. He was sacked by PSG recently, and PSG have appointed and hired Mauricio Pochettino, as we know. Now, a few days ago, I made a video on the Lampard situation, the fact that he was under intense pressure, and on the article written by The Athletic by Liam Toomey, he wrote that Pochettino was Chelsea's first choice. However, the option is gone because he's now signed for PSG. Thomas Tuchel conducted an interview back in 2017, and Marina Ganaskay, who's our chief negotiator, we all know who Marina is, was really impressed by Thomas Tuchel. The way that he spoke about himself, the type of football that he was supposed to bring to Chelsea, how he's going to implement his system. I made a whole tactical analysis video on how Thomas Tuchel is perfectly suited for Chelsea. Now, essentially, because of his characteristics and personality, Chelsea avoided him at the time. But because he's a free agent, according to Fabrizio Romano, he's the only manager that has been offered to Chelsea at this moment in time as I record this video. But Chelsea haven't said anything yet. They haven't responded to him. They haven't mentioned anything, which leads me to believe that they genuinely are giving Frank Lampard one last opportunity to really prove himself that he is Chelsea's long-term manager. Don't forget, we backed Lampard heavily this summer. We invested a lot of money, and I know results are not going our way, but in the next 3 games, if he doesn't win his next 3, I genuinely believe that Lampard's gone. If he loses to Fulham or Leicester, his job is in jeopardy. We're falling away, we're falling behind. The football has been diabolical, and he's under serious pressure. And I think that Thomas Tuchel was definitely on the shortlist. The fact that Matt Law had to write an article on it, the fact that all the top journalists have had to write articles just on Thomas Tuchel, really gives you an insight and emphasises the fact that Thomas Tuchel is definitely on the shortlist and being looked at. And as I said, the fact that he's a free agent is lucrative. He plays attacking, JDP style of football, which is attractive, continues on what Sarri and Lampard has built on this club. It will make use of the best attacking talent. That's another thing the club are worried about, is the form of Havertz and Timo Werner. Both of them German internationals. Thomas Tuchel is German himself. He will be able to get the best out of him with his attacking formation and deployment, and he will be able to get the best out of that attacking talent that we spent a lot of money on. So I think the club will look at these things, and yes, his personality could be a problem, but if they're both on the good side, I think this won't be an issue. I think that we can build a project with Thomas Tuchel. He has a proven track record, and yes, he has been offered, meaning that Thomas Tuchel is very interested in taking the job, that he wants to manage Chelsea, he wants to manage in the Premier League. His agent has offered him, he's a free agent. Yeah, I think this would be a good move for all parties. As I keep stressing in many videos, Thomas Tuchel is my first choice, but we'll have to wait and see. Lampard is not sacked yet. Lampard has still been given one last opportunity, so we'll have to wait and see what happens and see how that unfolds. But that is what was said on the Here We Go podcast that is essentially conducted by Fabrizio Romano himself. Now, getting into the January transfer window business, let's say hypothetically Frank Lampard is still manager of Chelsea. We will be conducting some business in the upcoming window this month, essentially. Now, this month is mainly going to be focusing on outgoings, which is natural. We spent a lot of money in the summer, and because of the coronavirus pandemic, we couldn't get the valuation for a lot of players, hence why a lot of deadwood stayed in the squad. We have one of the biggest squads in the Premier League now. We wanted to offload Emerson, Alonso, Jorginho, Kepa. Unfortunately, we couldn't do that. We have 5 left backs on the cards here, on the books. Imagine how astronomical our wages will be, the wage bill. So we need to offload players to decrease our wage bill. trim the squad down. And again, a lot of these outcast players have fallen out of Lampard, which is creating tension in the dressing room. So I think the better that we get him out now, the better for all of us. I think the three players I'll be mentioning is Marcos Alonso, Fikayo Tomori and Danny Drinkwater. Now, starting off with Danny Drinkwater, was reported by beIN Sports, a Turkish outlet, that Danny Drinkwater will join the Turkish side Kasim Pasha on loan until the end of the season. The player is set to arrive in Istanbul to sign a contract. So again, this is good news for all parties. He's currently playing in the reserve team. He's on very high wages, £120,000 a week. We need to offload him. Listen, his contract expires this summer. We need to make sure that we offload him. We essentially get rid of him. We need to get rid of him now. Whether that's going to be on a free contract, just get him off the wage bill, terminate his contract. But the fact that he's going on loan is also good for him. It means that he gets sustainable football. He gets week in, week out football. So again, this is perfect for all parties, and it's a player that needs to be sold. Needs to go. He's had a very poor Chelsea career. I think it was definitely arguably our worst ever Chelsea signing under the Roman Abramovich era. £35 million spent originally. He's comfortably in his mid-30s now. He's not performed well. He's playing in the reserves team. He's not even making the Premier League squads at all. And he's just sitting up, coming for training, eating our wages. And I think that, yes, there has been some circumstances, but it's been a terrible move for all parties. For himself, he hasn't had enough football. For Chelsea, because we splashed out, we had a massive financial package spent on him, and it just simply hasn't worked out. And we just need to offload him. And the fact that he's now going to be getting regular football is good for him. It's going to be good for us because he's getting off the wage bill. So again, as I said, it's fantastic for all parties, and I wish Danny Drinkwater all the best of luck in his, in his future adventures. Now, moving on to another player that needs some game time is, of course, Fikayo Tomori. And this one is a very unfortunate one. Now, as I keep stressing, again, we have a massive squad. We have, again, as well as 5 left-backs, we have 5 centre-backs on the cards. Thiago Silva, Kurt Zouma, Andreas Christensen, Antonio Rudiger, and now Fikayo Tomori. Now, Tomori is in a very unfortunate situation. He's a young prospect. He's got a huge future ahead of him, a good ceiling, nice attributes, quick, fast, pacey, good on the ball. And he won Player of the Year under Frank Lampard at Derby in his first season. And again, he played quite a decent role in last year's Premier League season. This year it hasn't been the case. He's been out of favour. He's fallen down the pecking order. And he hasn't been favoured by Frank Lampard. Now, again, for the best of his career, he needs to get some game time. Now, I'd preferably put him above Antonio Rudiger in the pecking order. But that doesn't seem to be the case. He hasn't got, barely any game time this season. It's unfortunate for him, for a young lad like him. He needs to be getting consistent game time. The team that's currently winning the race to get him on loan is Leeds United in the Premier League, which is, I think, a fantastic move under an experienced coach like Marcelo Bielsa in the Premier League, getting more Premier League experience, playing week in, week out. I think that's the best move for him. I think their Premier League club would do well. I think that maybe the Ligue 1 in the French league or anywhere in Europe in the top 5 leagues would do good for him. At the moment, according to reports, Leeds United are the most likely destination for him this month. So we'll have to wait and see, keeping an eye out on that one, but I do believe there's a strong possibility that Fikayo Tomori will be leaving on loan this current month. I think, again, for all parties, this needs to happen. For his development, for his game time, for Chelsea to reduce that wage bill, reduce the amount of players we have on the cards. Again, we need to offload players. That is the main message for this month. We need to make it a priority. Fikayo Tomori needs game time, and I think that it's the perfect move for him. Now, finally, talk about the last player that needs to leave is Marcos Alonso. Again, there's a bit of a toss-up between him and Emerson. Again, him and Emerson out of favour. Ben Chilwell is obviously our first choice left-back that Frank Lampard prefers. I personally would keep Emerson. Again, he's younger, he's quicker. I think that he hasn't got any attitude problems. He's been a fantastic backup. The times he's played this season, he's done a solid job. His moving on the ball, his defensive ability is much better than Alonso's. Again, Alonso is on higher wages as well. I think it's a no-brainer. Alonso needs to be sold. The two clubs interested is Inter Milan and Atletico Madrid for respective reasons. Both of them play a three-at-the-back formation. They're both defensive-minded coaches. They suit their systems. And again, he's got the experience, he's got the pedigree, and I think that both clubs would be suited to his style. Again, he's got attitude problems. We saw what happened at West Brom at half-time when he had that shambolic first-half performance and he got subbed off. He made Lampard angry with his attitude problems. He's obviously not training hard enough. He's been relatively poor. Yes, you can thank him for the time that we won the Premier League in the Antonio Conte system and in his Antonio Conte second season. But it simply hasn't worked out for him under Lampard. He needs to go. He's on high wages, £150,000 a week. Whether we sell him this month, which is unlikely, at least sell him on loan. Get him out on loan and then hopefully an option to buy in the summer and we can offload him and get rid of him. He's 30 years of age now. He's well past his prime. We need to get rid. But that is the main outgoings this January window. If you did enjoy this Chelsea news video, don't forget to smash like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and comment down below your thoughts, opinions in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys for my next video. Peace.